Alright guys, good morning. I am out in the greenhouse today. I have to fill these little seedling pots so that I can get herbs started. And I wanted to talk to you about if you're just getting into this. Because I know a lot of people, when they start, there's a lot of errors that they make. We did them, and I'm hoping maybe I can help you save some of your money and your time and prevent some of those errors. Because, yeah. It happens. If you're just getting into homesteading, just know that you don't have to do everything all at once, and you can start right where you're at. You don't need 5 acres. You don't even need an acre. We had a very, very small backyard when we first started, and we couldn't do much there, but yet we still managed to grow a ton of food. And we had like 3 chickens. You know, you can start small and build up. See if you even like it. You may decide that this hard work is not for you. Because while it's fun and it's enjoyable, it is a lot of work. So it doesn't hurt just to find out if you're willing to do the work to reap the rewards, you know. You'll learn a lot of lessons along the way. Some of them are going to be hard lessons. But all lessons are lessons, right? Whether they're good or they're bad. I think if you're going to get started with homesteading, the easiest place to start is probably your kitchen. And I'm going to tell you why. Most of us have a kitchen, and most of us cook in it. And I'm not good with cooking meals. It's not my forte. I can cook, you would think, since I'm from Louisiana, I'd be really good at cooking. I'm not. My husband's good at cooking, but I can bake, I can, I can do all those type things. So start out with making bread in your kitchen. That's probably one of the least expensive things that you can start out with. See if you like working with your hands in your kitchen, because if you're growing all those vegetables, you're going to need to do something with them. Whether it be cooking with them, canning with them, freezing them, it doesn't matter. Bread will teach you patience. Your first few loaves, they might fail, but you never know. You could be one of those people that are just really awesome at that right from the get-go. That's not me. I took a couple failures and finally was successful. Although, I will tell you, I don't love baking sourdough bread, mostly because it's time consuming, but you know, you'll find what you like. I have a bread machine now, which I love, and it's much easier. It's not sourdough, but it's fine. And then the other thing to consider is maybe the kitchen really isn't your thing. Maybe you just really are not interested in that part of homesteading, and it's okay. Everybody kind of finds what works for them eventually. You can start a garden. Like I said in the beginning, we had a very tiny backyard. But there's a good chance you can grow something wherever you're at. Even if it's just one container plant, that's okay. We have raised beds right now. But when we had our small yard, we just used mostly containers and planted in ground. The dirt there was better than the dirt here because we had worked on it for so long. Gee, you're just gonna have the dogs just be busy in the background. You can grow a whole lot in containers even if you don't have a yard. You can put your tomato plant in a 5-gallon bucket. You can grow a pepper in a 1-gallon bucket. That's what we used to do, 1-gallon buckets, and we grew peppers in those. You can start an herb garden on your windowsill if you have a windowsill. Trying to think. Anything that can hold soil and dirt can be used to grow a garden, so don't think that you have to go buy something just to get started. Look around your house, see what you have. If you can put drainage holes in it, you can use that. I started out initially as a flower gardener, I guess you could say. I didn't really know what I was doing. I grew flowers, mostly daylilies. They're one of my favorites. I actually ended up naming my oldest daughter, Lily. And now I'm pretty much just perennial flowers. Anything that self-seeds or will grow back on its own. Just that way I can spend more time on the edible plants that we grow. So maybe you'll find out that you're just a flower gardener and you don't like growing edible fruit. That's fine. They have people with flower farms. I am not a flower farmer. Maybe you don't even want to grow food. Not everybody necessarily wants to grow their own tomatoes and lettuce and peppers and anything else. We do, because it supplements the grocery budget, and we just enjoy it. It's nice to get our hands dirty. We know where it comes from. We don't use a lot of it. We don't use a lot of, we do use chemicals because everything is made of chemicals. So I don't want to use the incorrect term there. But we try to raise everything as organically as possible. We don't use any major pesticides. Our fertilizer is fish fertilizer. I'll hand pick hornworms whenever that time of the year comes around. But luckily, we haven't had much issue with that over the years. I'm probably jinxing myself right now. And I'll probably be loaded down with them this year. You know, I've seen people with hand vacuums that they'll vacuum the squash bugs off their plants. I'm thinking about trying that one this year in our garden because evil little pests. But what I was getting to, my point before I veered off topic, is maybe you just want to grow animals. There are lots of options for animals you can raise on any size homestead. Even if you are in the city, in the HOA, you know, you don't have to be in the country. I'm sorry, I'm going to see so much dog, but you don't have to be in the country to grow livestock. Meat rabbits are a good choice if you have very limited space. You need 2, 3 max. You can get a buck and 2 does, and you'll produce a ton of meat that you can put in your freezer, and you'll know exactly where that came from. There's also, I think, a sense of pride in raising your own meat and knowing where your food comes from. Chickens, you can have 3 or 4 chickens. I know a lot of people are limited on what they can have as far as chickens, because there's a lot of places with rules about roosters. You don't have to have a rooster. But if these townships and these cities, and I don't think that they're still not where they need to be. They need to let more people grow their food and stop having less rules. I know HOAs are pretty strict on that type of thing. You can look into quail. They're small, they're quiet. The little roosters aren't quiet, but you can usually get away with it because most people don't have the general knowledge of what a quail rooster sounds like. So they'll mistake them for wild birds. You can have a small covey, and they will produce meat and eggs for you in 6 to 8 weeks. You can get yourself a little incubator. We have a cabinet incubator now, but we started off with a little styrofoam incubator from the local feed store, and you can hatch tons and tons of quail eggs in one of those. So that might be an option for you to look at. I'd say start small with whatever animal you start out with. Just so you can see if you like the work. You can see if you like dealing with the manure. That's another winning point for rabbits, is their manure can go straight on your garden. You don't even have to compost that. We did get rid of our rabbits recently. We have restructured on that. We wanted to grow our quail egg hatching operation larger, but we have made a new area for the rabbits. So I'm currently looking for a trio because I would like to get back into that. When it comes to the animals, if you decide you do want something, go ahead, do some research, and build your infrastructure first. I think that's a problem that most beginning homesteaders get into, is they jump right in, they don't really research it, and they don't build their housing And this is a problem because now you have animals sitting here and you have nowhere to put them. We all make that mistake. We've done it before. And listen, when you do your research, just do some general research. You don't have to be an expert on the subject. You don't need a PhD in rabbits to be able to raise a trio of meat rabbits. It's not that serious, you know. Patience is something you're really going to need whenever you're just starting out. You can go to the grocery store, buy a tomato. It's instant gratification. Your tomato's there, it's ready to go. If you grow a tomato in your yard, depending on variety, you can be looking at 60 to 90 days for a tomato. You hot, buddy? It's not that warm in here. Yeah, you can be looking at 60 to 90 days for a tomato. So patience is a key factor when you're just beginning. If you want to grow quick things, you can. Lettuce, no time. Microgreens, no time. You can try stuff like that out if you're not a patient person. If you're making sourdough, even something like that, you're looking at a good week before you started ready to use if you started from scratch. If you're breeding rabbits, you're looking at 30 days from breeding to birth. If you get young rabbits, you have to grow them out for 6 to 8 months before they're even ready to breed. So no matter what area of homesteading you get into, it will require some patience, and people get frustrated because things are not happening as fast as they would like. You know, we've been doing this for 15 or so years on and off. It hasn't been straight. And I think that we learned a lot of lessons along the way about having patience, about infrastructure, all that good stuff. One of the other things I think are important is products. Don't be so influenced online about all the products that they have that you can get. You don't need all the fancy. Oh, thank you. He's finally going to lay down and sit. You don't need all the fancy products to garden. I have these little trays. I actually bought them 3 years ago. I reuse them every year. They costed maybe $12 for a pack of them. It was a one-time investment for me. If I need to replace them, I will. But something that I also do is if I get plants from the local feed store, because bell peppers and jalapenos, wax peppers, I'll get those things from the feed store instead of starting them myself. I'll save those little grow containers that they come in, and I'll cycle those through or something if one of these break. I tried, see, and this is what I'm talking about, products. I don't even know if I have one sitting around. I desperately wanted to switch my whole greenhouse to the burpee seed trays with the little bottoms that you pop and the little seedling comes out. I got one. Y'all, all my stuff lives outside year round. All these, they're always out here. Gee, nobody wants to see a butt. These all live out here year round. So my burpee tray that pops out, I left it out here, not realizing, I guess, that maybe the heat's too much. All the bottoms came out, the little parts that pop out. I was very disappointed, and I was extremely glad that I didn't throw away or give away these little pots, because then I would have been left with nothing to plant in. Another example, I desperately wanted a green stalk. My favorite YouTuber at the time, she had a green stalk. She loved it. I desperately wanted to have one. I got one. Finally. One Christmas. It was time. I was going to be able to order my green stalk. I ordered it. It came in. I did not read. Here's another thing on research. I didn't read. And I did not realize that you needed, you know, I'm exaggerating here, 500 bags of soil. I got it, got all the soil, filled it up. You know, not only is that product expensive, but the soil's expensive. Here we are. This is 4 years I have it. Maybe 5. 4 or 5 years. I've been having it quite some time. I throw lettuce seeds in it once in a while. I tried a couple different plants. I don't love it. I don't love it. And it's not saying there's anything wrong with it. I think they're a great space-saving option if you have that kind of money and you need that kind of space. But I think there are other options that are going to cost you less money. And I don't know. I was disappointed, not because there's anything wrong with the product. As a personal preference, I didn't love it. There are a lot of things that I'm far too frugal. Everybody calls me cheap. I'm not cheap, I'm just smart. There are a few things that I'm just far too frugal to purchase. Chief, would you stop? Stay there. Stop jigging. Stop jigging. There's a few things that I am far too frugal to purchase. My next door neighbor, she had won a Rise hydroponic garden on an Instagram giveaway. She just recently gave it to me because she also didn't use it as much as she thought. I was very excited to have it. I've never had one. I wanted to try it out. And, I mean, I think it's very cool. I looked up the price of it on Amazon. It's about $200 for that little hydroponic system. And I can start, let's see, I think it holds 8 pods. And these hold 6, and I'll start 2 seeds per cell here. I just don't think it's a cost-effective way to start to grow plants, because eventually you're gonna have to move them to somewhere else because they can't stay in there forever. So as of now, I'm just using it as a seed starter, but you don't have to have those things. There are a lot of products that you'll think you need, but you really won't. I'd say sit on it before you order anything. Look for reviews. See if other people like truly just can't live without it. Because I know there are people that absolutely adore their hydroponic systems and their little tabletop systems. And I think it is going to be fun, because I had one of our friends that are subscribers send some micro dwarf tomato seeds. And I'm going to put those in there, and I'm hoping that I can grow some little micro dwarf tomatoes on the counter out here. But product-wise, I'd say don't spend your money on anything. Don't spend your money on any and everything that comes across, even though they sound like they're super cool. And just start with what you have. Start with where you're at, and have some patience. That's probably the biggest thing I can say. This YouTube channel has taught me patience, because I've been working on it for 2 years. Admittedly, my fault. Admittedly, my fault. I don't post regularly. I am working on 2024 and getting better on that, but we never know. It's the beginning of the year. Chief, can you back up, sir? Now you have dirt on your nose. Chief just came to live with us in November. He's a little bit over a year old, but he is a lot spoiled at this point. He is my gardening buddy, and he's a handful. Alright guys, thanks for joining me. I hope anything that I said was helpful. If you didn't get anything out of this, that's okay. Not everybody's going to agree with what I had to say, but I think some of you will. I hope that you have a great week. It is actually hot here. I think we're supposed to get some more cold weather in about 2 weeks. And as cold as it was, I wouldn't mind if we got at least a little cooler. It's like 70 degrees today, so it's not great. And the mosquitoes made it through the freeze. They are fine. They were back in action this morning. Alright guys, from our homestead to yours, I hope you have a great day. If you haven't yet, hit the subscribe button. Help me get this YouTube channel going and get some traction. Alright guys, bye.